We killing the ones who are empowering. Sad, yo.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball. Today we're going to be looking back at Sunday's action across the NBA and giving you some streaming advice for the day ahead. Just a quick note though before Michael Bolton chimes in. At this point in the season, we're 7 days left in the NBA regular season. You should not be playing NBA DFS. I'm not going to be doing DFS previews for these last 7 days of the season. There is so much bullshit that goes on, not only before games, but after games lock with late scratches. We saw that across the weekend. We've got with in-game rests, with guys playing 20 minutes. It's all over the place. So me doing a preview, 12 hours before the games start, it's really counterintuitive because we could have 30 things change. And yeah, that tends to be the case at some point, at any time during the season, really. But at this point of the year, it really, like everything I say here, 80% of it could be completely different. So what I'm going to do is do our usual recap, give the nightly awards, then have a look for if your season-long leagues are continuing into this week, which again, they should never be doing, but if they are, looking at stream targets for the various categories on the coming day. So we'll talk about that in today's show. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. We will start with
Monstrous Line of the Night.
And the monstrous line of the night is also the waiver wire line of the night. No, it's not. Try again. The monstrous line of the night is Rajon Rondo. I'm rusty. I've got the end of season DMP load managements at the moment. Rajon Rondo is your monstrous line of the night. Didn't really think I'd be saying that this season, but he put up a really big line in the Lakers' huge win over the Pelicans. 31 minutes for Rondo, 24 points, including 4 threes. 5 rebounds, 12 assists and 3 steals on a fantastic 64% shooting. He has been putting up the numbers, no doubt, over the last month. A top 55 player, averaging 10, 5.5, and 9 with 2 steals. Really, though, that value is all concentrated in 2 categories. It's the 9 assists, it's the 2 steals. That's it. He is shooting 39% from the field during that time. Weirdly, 92% from the line. Of course, he takes absolutely no free throw attempts, so it's not impacting there. He's averaging 10 points, so he's really just a huge positive in 2 categories, a significant negative in field goal percentage, and a decent enough negative in points, and everything else is sort of about average for where Rondo is. And that's useful, but it's not useful for every single team. I did think they might start to reduce Rondo's minutes at some point here down the stretch of the season. We saw Kuzma sit out today. We know that LeBron's out for the rest of the year. Ingram and Ball, Josh Hart are already gone as well. But Rondo looks like he's at least staying stable with these minutes. He's totaled 29 assists and 8 steals in the last 2 games. So that's obviously really useful, and that's where his value is coming from. So if he is available in a 12-team league, he's going to have value here for the rest of this time across the end of the week or the end of the season. He's got the Lakers have 4 more games for this coming week in the NBA for your fantasy playoffs. So Rajon Rondo is your monstrous line of the night. Your next one,
Waiver Wire Line of the Night.
Your waiver wire line of the night is also your deep leaguer of the night, is also your young gun of the night.
Young Gun of the Night.
And that's because the Bucks just completely screwed up so many fantasy championships. And actually, before I continue, congratulations if you have won your first fantasy championship, if it's multiple fantasy championships, in a redraft league, in a dynasty league, if your season just finished on Sunday. Congratulations to you. I hope you guys have either been here with this podcast over the past 6 seasons, the past one season, you're new this year, you've just found us in the last 3 weeks. Whatever it is, I hope that I was able to provide some assistance and maybe some entertainment throughout the journey as well. So congratulations to you if you won. Stiff shit if you lost. Better luck next year as you guys fight back and try and win another championship. So well done to everyone who did win, and well done to everybody who competed, got to the playoffs, and got to the final matchup as well. Let's talk Sterlo Brown though, because the Bucks, they sat Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Eric Bledsoe in addition to the injuries to Nikola Mirotic, Malcolm Brogdon, and Tony Snell. So we had a very bare bones rotation, so much so that Timmy Frazier played 53 minutes. Yes, 53 minutes. That is the entirety of the game. He did a Ray McCallum If you guys remember Sacramento Kings about 3 or 4 years ago, McCallum, a second-round pick, I think he played 48 minutes in 4 consecutive games to end the season. Now, Brown, I've been talking about Brown for a while. I talked him up in the off-season. He was leapfrogged by Snell and by Connaughton. And then I've talked him up a little bit here at the end of the season with the Brogdon and Snell injuries that in deeper leagues you'd want to pay attention. I didn't see this coming from Sterlo. 33 minutes, 27 points with 5 triples, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Last game he had 15 points with 3 threes. The game before that, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. That's 3 really solid games in a row from Sterling Brown. That makes him in the last week the 28th ranked player. Now, I don't think Brogdon or Snell are coming back this season. The Middleton, Yanni, Bledsoe triumvirate. Bledsoe and Middleton, I think, will likely be back on Monday. Not sure about Antetokounmpo, but if you're looking to stream someone in, on Monday, there are 9 games. Maybe you have availability there. Maybe Brown's going to have value. He's going to start, and he's going to play mid to high 20s in minutes, and he can be a steals guy. He can add some rebounds. He can score a little bit. He can hit some threes. He's definitely like a 16-team ad and probably a 14-team guy as well. And if you're looking to stream in 12s, Sterling Brown can be of use. But a big game from him and a guy that I've had a bit of faith in since before he was drafted, to be honest. And he's looking the goods now after dealing with that really long-term wrist injury that seemed to keep him out for about a month, which let me double check. Yeah, it was about a month that he was out with that wrist injury. It just seemed to go on and on and on. The next award that we take a look at is the dud of the night.
Nice, Gary!
Yeah, Gary Harris has got a few of these this season. 34 minutes for Gaza, only the 9 points on 4 of 13 shooting. 1 rebound and 0 assists. Nick Young will be proud of that. 2 steals is the only redeeming feature of this performance from Harris. His season has been a real disaster. The 160th ranked player this year. He was 40th last year and 68th last season. So what's changed? Well, for a start, the injuries. He's only played 51 games, and that has meant that he has played only 29 minutes. So a lot of coming back from injury, a deep team not needing to force him. But shooting from 49% from the field last year, 50 the year before that, 47 the year before that. We're at under 43 this season. His free throw percentage has dropped 3 percentage points as well. His 3-point percentage went from 40 last season, 42 the year before that, down to 35 this season. Those sort of things are unrecoverable from a fantasy perspective. His steals cut in half, 1.8 last season, 0.9. And combine all of those things together, the usage basically identical over the course of the season. So he's getting the shots, just the minutes are down, and the efficiency is way down, and the steal rate is down, and he's been a clear drop for a pretty decent amount of time, but that's just, look, it's not good enough, a real disappointment. He is going to turn into a massive steal guy next season in terms of bargain Danilo Gallinari, Tyreek Evans type that you grab in your last round of your drafts, and if it works out, boy, it's going to work out in a pretty good way, I believe, but at this point, it's been a real disaster for Gaz Harris. The plus-minus goats, Ryan Broekhoff of the Dallas Mavericks. He's been playing well over the last couple of weeks. Not many people would have noticed that, but he has been doing quite well for this Mavericks team, plus 82.7, while the worst net rating went to Lance Stephenson, negative 85.4. There is no reason he should be on an NBA team or playing as a starter. He shouldn't be on your fantasy team, 12s, 14s, maybe 16s you have a look at. He's just so infuriating to watch. He puts up a highlight that's fantastic, and then he's just shit for the other 47 minutes of the game. So Lance Stephenson has your worst net rating of the day. Let's cover some injury news. Marvin Bagley sat out today with an illness that was not ideal, especially considering he'd just taken the starting job back with Bjelica sick. Now he may or may not have remained in that position. We'll never know because he was out of this one. LeBron James is out for the season.
LeBron James.
He is still dealing with that groin injury, which was obviously pretty significant. It's obviously annoying if you had LeBron to be dealing with the injury he had in January, but it really is a big thing. And one of there's a couple of big narratives that were occurring in the preseason. I saw a lot of people touting LeBron as a number 1, a number 2, a number 3 overall fantasy pick because he played 82 games the year before. LeBron's a tank. He doesn't get injured. He doesn't rest. And while that has been true, he has only ever played 82 games once in his career. Injuries do happen at points, and when you're looking at that top end talent, it's really hard to place, to elevate a guy 7, 8, 9 spots just because he didn't get hurt the year before. And we've seen that here. A lot of people avoiding Golden State Warriors players in drafts. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, not taking them. The Warriors are going to rest them all through the playoffs. Did they rest one single game through the fantasy playoffs? I know KD got hurt. He missed a couple. Draymond had some injuries. I don't think any of those guys, outside of Cousins, which of course recovering from the Achilles, we all knew that. Did any of those guys, even in their 5-game week, did they rest? Actually, that's not true. Sorry, Steph did rest one game. Durant played the 5-game week. Draymond played the 5-game week. Clay played the 5-game week. So we've got to be really careful of buying into these narratives, which, again, I tried my best to dispel that sort of stuff, but it is something that did happen. But LeBron out for the season. Lance is going to start in his place, it looks like. Blakey Griffin missed the last game for the Detroit Pistons. He is going to be out again on Monday with knee soreness. Now, the Pistons are one of only 4 teams left in the NBA who really have their playoff lives to fight for. They're the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're only 1.5 games out of the 9th seed. They need to keep winning. Now, everyone else is jockeying for positions and seedings. The Pistons aren't. They need to keep winning to keep themselves in the playoffs. So if Blake is missing 2 in a row at this point in the season, there's a little bit of worry creeping in. Now, of course, the overwhelming idea was don't draft Blake because he's injury prone, and he hasn't been injury prone at all this season until we get to right now with his knee, which is a little bit worrying. Thon McCare becomes an interesting blocks and threes type of stream guy on the games that the Pistons play. Derek Favors is out for Monday for the Jazz, so Jay Crowder becomes an interesting stream there. Deeper leagues want to look at Tabo Cephalosha, maybe even Epe Udo if you're looking to get some blocks on the board early. He can come in and block 2 shots in 9 minutes. That's what Udo can do. The Undertaker, Dwayne Dedman. Rest well, sweet Prince of the Dead. The Undertaker is out for the season with an ankle injury that boosts the value, of course, of Alex Len. Deeper leagues, you're going to be wanting to look at Deontay Davis, who's playing pretty well at the moment. Len becomes a speculative ad or a streaming type ad for 12-team leagues with Dedman out for the season. And DeAndre Ayton hurt his ankle over the weekend. He's already been ruled out of Monday's game. I will be pretty stunned if we see Ayton again this season. The clear pickup there is Rashawn Holmes. Now, he missed Saturday's game with a migraine, but he is not on the injury report. He will be back Monday. He is a must-add player for this week with Ayton. I don't think we're seeing Ayton again this year. Same with Tyler Johnson. Same with TJ Warren in Phoenix. I'd be really, really stunned if those guys came back. There's no need. With a week left, why rush these guys back? Not that TJ Warren's been rushed. He's been out for the last 3 months with a sore ankle. A couple of other injuries. Jamal Murray twisted his ankle. He came back into the game and then didn't return again after halftime. So, of course, Monty Morris is that bloke who's going to really step it up and become a 12-team league guy if Murray misses time in the Nuggets. Would make a lot of sense for them to sit Jamal here, get him healthy for the playoffs. Mike Conley sat today's game, and much like Murray, he sprained his ankle on Saturday, returned to the game, and then missed Sunday's action. That really boosts the value of Delon Wright. Tyler Dorsey, usually he didn't really deliver in Sunday's action though, but Conley, I think we might see Mick back. I'm just not sure on that, but his teammate Jonas Valanciunas sprained his ankle pretty badly today. I don't think JV is going to be back for the rest of this season. I don't think Joakim Noah is going to be back for the rest of this season. So that gives you a bit of a value play there on Ivan Rabb, who can be interesting enough. Now, I'd place him significantly behind Rashawn Holmes in terms of overall value for this remaining portion of the season. But Valanciunas, I'd be pretty surprised if we see him again this season. Guys, if you are going to subscribe to this podcast, which I highly recommend, why don't you download the new Himalaya podcast app and subscribe to Locked On Fantasy Basketball there. Let's get into these games now and have a look at them across the NBA. For Sunday, there were 7 of them in the league. Let's see what sort of interesting bits we can find in these ones. Well, the first game, there's a lot of interesting stat lines, no doubt, as the Milwaukee Bucks lost to the Atlanta Hawks in overtime, 135-136. Timmy Frazier, as I mentioned, played the entire 53 minutes of the game, 20 points with 7 rebounds and 15 assists. Bonzi Colson is a real man. He had 15 and 16 in 41 minutes, while DJ Wilson started and had 12, 7 and 5 in 34 minutes. And Wilson has been fantastic this season. I thought he was dreadful last year. I thought he was dreadful because he was dreadful, but he has really, really improved this year. But, of course, Middleton, Yanni, and Eric Bledsoe were all out of this game, and they could very well be back for Monday's action. You're limiting the value of Frazier and Colson, who aren't rotation players on a regular basis, but it is one to watch. For the Hawks, Justin Anderson, I like this guy all the way back to the end of his rookie season in Dallas. Actually, when he was drafted, he had an interesting fantasy profile, but he started to step it up at the end of his rookie season, and it's sort of been lost since then in Philadelphia and in Atlanta. But now, 24 and 12 in 31 minutes with the artist formerly known as Taurean Prince out, 4 triples and 2 steals, putting together the sorts of skills that I saw from him as a rookie, as a player at Virginia. We don't know when Prince is going to be back. I would imagine that Taurean misses a couple more here. He's a drop in 12-team leagues if you still got him. Anderson becomes that moderately sized the league edition type of player. The Baptist, John Collins, 23 and 12 with 3 blocks. Remember when he blocked about 1 shot in 80 games? Well, now he's blocking them all over the place. Just shows you that regression and progression to the mean do happen. And when a guy comes in and you look at his projections over on Basketball Monster and you say, why you got him averaging a steal a game and a block a game? He hasn't blocked a shot for ages. You have to drop those projections. Well, I look at what he did in college in his rookie season, and over an 8-game sample, I'm not going to think all of a sudden he's never getting steals or blocks. And it was weird, but now they're coming in bunches, and that's what generally tends to happen. Trae Young was great apart from the shooting. He hit the game winner, but 12 points on 19 shots is not good. I love 5 rebounds, 16 assists, and 2 steals. And his second half of the year, top 25 type of a player. This is where he's going to be moving forward. Someone posed an interesting question to me on Twitter today. Who would you rather keep in a keeper league, Kemba Walker or Trae Young? I think you got to keep Trae Young. I think they're in a similar level, 3rd round type of point guard next season, and Young's 10 years younger. To me, it's a definite. You have to keep Trae Young in that scenario. As for Alex Len, 23 and 6 in 27 minutes. No defensive stats, but with the Undertaker out, he provides value. Fanderpants Kevin Huerter, he's been quite disappointing over the last month or two. I thought he was really stepping up because he was, but he has really dropped off. While Bembry was great here, 16 and 6 with 3 assists and 3 steals, but he's so up and down, and the minutes still at 21 don't make him really that strong of an ad. Let's go on to the next game. The Mavericks with the big upset victory over the Thunder in Oklahoma City, 106-103. Luka Doncic was out, so Trey Burke, he got an opportunity. That seems to be what happens. When Doncic goes out, Burke gets the minutes and the production. 25 points for Burkie with 8 assists. The Mavericks play again Monday. We don't know Doncic's status, but if Burke is available, he could be an interesting stream. We saw the burner Jalen Brunson have 18, 2 and 4. I like him in 12s. Or Justin Jackson, he's not good. He'll never be good in my opinion. 4 points in 13 minutes. Ryan Brokoff significantly better. 5 points in 24 as a player. Look, his line's not that much better here. 5 points in 24 minutes, but I love what Brokoff's doing. He is a deep league 3-point streamer, Brokoff. Dorian Finney-Smith's bloom is off his rose at the moment. 7 points in 16 minutes. Carlisle is not as interested in using him as he has been in the past. While Dwight Powell, 11 and 9, really just piss poor in terms of shooting. 4 of 14. This is a bloke who'd normally go 8 of 14, and you add another 12 points on there, and that line looks really, really sexy. Dirk, big minutes for Dirk. 27 minutes, 13 rebounds, and didn't shoot well, and that's big minutes in 2 consecutive games for Dirk. It's something to watch, but with a back-to-back, does he sit out Monday? I think it's a chance. For the Thunder, Westbrook 25, 11, and 11. Hit all of his free throws amazingly, while Paul George had 27 and 11 with 2 steals and a block, and Adams had 20 and 15, but it wasn't enough to get the Thunder over the line. Jeremy Grant was okay with 14 points, while Schroeder, that is 3 absolute turd burgers in a row from Schroeder. 8 and 4 on 27% shooting. If you can't afford to deal with any sort of negativity in your field goal percentage category, you just can't hold him. That's how bad he is at the moment. He could probably swing up and have 30 points on 69% shooting.
Giggity.
Next game, but you just can't trust what he is doing. Terrence Ferguson was also pretty trash here. 3 points in 20 minutes for Big Fergo. Next up, the Lakers really gave it to the Pelicans, 130-102. Alex Caruso, career high, 23 points with 6 assists and 4 steals. He shot 64% from the field. He does have some interesting 14-team league value. I want him to get all of these Lance Stephenson minutes. I really like what he's doing. JaVale McGee's monster second half continues, 23 and 16, while Kuzma was out of this one. So that meant that Flaming Mo Wagner got a start. 7 and 7, not all that enticing. While Stephenson, 0 of 7 from the field for 2 rebounds and 1 assist. Yeah, that's not that interesting. Jonathan Williams had been playing pretty well, but his production's well down. While Reggie Bullock actually returned, 18 points in 23 minutes for Bullock, 4 triples and 3 assists, just a deeper league, 14-16 team league 3-point streamer. For the Pelicans, big Chris Wood, 15 and 11 a steal and a block. He's pretty much a must-roster player at this point. I don't expect to see Anthony Davis play again this season. I don't expect to see Frank Jackson play again this season, although I feel more confident in Jackson lacing them up rather than Davis. Over the last week, Wood's the 9th ranked player. He's the 25th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. He's blocking shots, he's getting steals, he's giving you big rebound, field goal percentage, and scoring. He is a must roster guy, and it doesn't even matter to me whether Davis plays or not. I think his minutes will be up because they'll just take them away from someone else. That's how well he's playing. Julius Randle sprained his finger in this one, so that's something to watch. And if he's out, then Wood's value goes through the roof. 17 points in 23 for him, while Solomon Hill, who barely has been cited for 2 years, had 14 points in 25 minutes as the Pelicans are down a shitload of wing players with Darius Miller out. So maybe Solomon for those deeper formats could have some value. Okafor started, played 26 minutes, and Cheick Diallo had 12 and 10 in his 21 minutes. Both of those guys are more 16-team league players, while Kenrick Williams, remember when he was the mustard guy? Yeah, it's not really looking like that at the moment, while Ian Clark started in place of Frank Jackson. He had 11 points in 31 minutes. He is really not good and is just a deeper league guy. The next game we look at, the Kings, they beat the Spurs on the road, 113-106. Budrick had 26, 5 and 3, massive from Hield, while Bogdan Bogdanovic, who had that weird dip in minutes and production about 2 weeks ago, 32 minutes, 15, 3 and 5 with 2 steals, big from Bogdan. There was no Gilesy, there was no Bagley. The Sticky Bandits were out of this one. So Cauley Stein played 30 minutes, 17 and 6, and Nemanja Bjelica recovered from his upset tummy to have 10 and 6 in his 26 minutes. The pencil, Harrison Barnesy. 15 and 4 in his 34 minutes. Again, this is just what he does. He is never going to change. This is just what he continues to do. While it wasn't a great De'Aaron Fox night, 12, 4 and 5. For the Spurs, Rudy Gay replaced Jakob Poeltl in the starting lineup and played 31 minutes, 18 and 9. This is what they should do every single game. Pop goes back and forth. Poeltl had 2 points in his 12 minutes. Gay is much more of a 12-team league guy than what Poeltl is. Aldridge had 27 and 18, or DeRozan had 16 with 7 assists, and Derek White's late season struggles really continue. He's a clear droppable guy, despite the Spurs having a pretty strong schedule for the rest of the year, and it's all going to come down to how you manage it, how you manage a roster, where he fits in, because with the way he's playing on a per game basis, Derek White, it's hard to justify holding on to him. But again, with a really decent enough schedule here, plus the fact that he has a game on Tuesday when there's very few games on, that does really work in Derek White's favour. And all these Spurs guys, just to have that game on the low volume days does help those guys out in terms of their overall value. The Washington Wizards and the Denver Nuggets, big win for the Wizards, and an absolutely dreadful loss for the Nuggets here at home, 95-90. Big Tom Bryant, 20 and 14 with 3 blocks in 40 minutes. He should be this starting center on this team. Screw Dwight Howard. It needs to be Tom Bryant next season. I love what he's doing. He's a must roster guy on a per game basis, but with every time when I say this, check how it fits what your team needs. While Troy Brown, the best game of his career, 24 points in 42 minutes, hit 5 triples. I think he starts the rest of the way. I don't think we see Trevor Ariza again this season for this team, and that helps Brown out. I also don't think we're going to see Jeff Green again.
My name is Jeff.
He's sat out the last 2 games out of the rotation to give extra minutes to guys like Geordie McRae and Wesley Johnson. Brad Beal had 17, 3 and 6, and Satoransky 5, 6 and 5. Down nights significantly by those guys. Jabari was great, 20 and 6 with 3 steals and a block. He's putting up big numbers at the moment on a team that's obviously going nowhere. It's helping his case for free agency next season. He still struggles significantly defensively, but the numbers here would justify rostering him. My man, Punch Bob Shitbloke, is not a good NBA player. He is not a starting caliber player. He is as inconsistent as they come now. I had a lot of people tweet at me, I can't remember what day it was, Saturday, maybe, Bobby Portis just won me my championship. Well, hopefully you didn't need his performance on Sunday, because he had 2 points on 9 shots with 9 rebounds and no defensive stats. If you are considering him as a starting caliber player on your NBA team, you are not making the playoffs, so I feel pretty confident about that. But I still think that it's hard to drop him in 12-team formats. For the Nuggets, Jokic got ejected, not before he had 23 and 14 with 2 steals and a block. Really poor from Jokic to get ejected in this situation. He needs to be better than that, despite whatever he thinks is going on against him. A bit of the old James Sicily there from Jokic. Jamal Murray had 12 points before he got injured. Fart and Will Barton had 10, and Millsap had 13 and 16 on just horrendous shooting. As I've said, Barton not a must-roster guy. Millsap not a must-roster 10-team league guy. He's really on that border, struggling a bit. While Monty Morris, I think he's going to have some significant value here, which will be interesting if, as I assume, Jamal Murray does sit with this ankle injury. That would be the smart play. The next game was an absolute ass-kicking of the highest degree. The Warriors beat the Hornets by 47 points, 137-90. Jeremy Lamb, just the 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes in 2 consecutive games for Lammy. He did have 2 steals and 2 blocks with nice production, but you can do better in a 12-team league. Bill Hernan-Gomez took a remarkable 15 free throw attempts and hit 14 of them. Ended with 22 in 23 minutes. I don't know why they continue to start Bismack Biyombo, who played 8 minutes here, then give the minutes to Bill. Just give him 30 and see what happens. He is a legitimate 12-team option here, Hernan Gomez. While Nick Batum came back into the rotation, and of course everyone who had Dwayne Bacon and Miles Bridges were thoroughly pissed off because Batum's return limited Bacon to 28 minutes and it limited Miles Bridges down to just 30 minutes. And those guys have been playing mid to high 30s in minutes prior to this. Yeah, Bacon's a guy who is a bit of an empty points sort of a guy, maybe some steals here and there. And if he's going to play 27 a night, he's probably not going to be a 12-team league player. Should go without saying that Marvin Williams isn't a 12-team league guy. For the Warriors, nobody had to extend themselves. Cousins didn't. He got ejected after playing just 11 minutes, but really very little to talk about here. Quinn Cook looked good, 21-4-4 with 5 threes in 23 minutes. We know Cook can put up numbers if he plays 30. It's all going to come down to, is it a blowout or is Steph out? And that's really all there is there. We also had an interesting Eunice Urepko cameo, 12-6 with 3 steals, who has about 2 or 3 of these games per year. The last game of the night was the Memphis Grizzlies comfortably losing to the LA Clippers. My man Delon Wright had 20 and 8 with 4 assists, 3 steals and a block. I believe he is a 12-team league guy. The rest of the season, of course, depending on how it fits into your schedule, I think Mike Conley will miss a couple more games here for the rest of the year, while Bruno Caboclo got into early foul trouble and never recovered. Still had 2 blocks and 2 threes with 8 points, but only 20 minutes. The minutes will be higher than that next game. With him in foul trouble, Chandler Parsons played some extra, and we also had 17 Julian Washburn minutes. Valanciunas, I reckon he's done for the year, as I mentioned earlier, while Tyler Dorsey had 14 points and nothing else. He's a chucker, and I don't think that he's a very good NBA player. I would have Wright over him pretty comfortably. While my man Dusty Hanners, what a name. Literally the best name in the NBA, I believe, at the moment. Dusty Hanners, he made his NBA debut, while Justin Holiday is a steals streamer, and that's it. As for the Valanciunas replacement, Rab played 16 minutes, had 3 and 3 with a steal and a block. He's probably more of a 14-team league ad, but if Noah and Valanciunas are going to miss, which I believe that they will, there is value there. On the Clippers side, Gilgeous-Alexander, just the 28 minutes and only 6 points, but 3 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. The Clippers have a pretty poor schedule for this coming week, but that's they're good production on a per-game basis, while the Italian cock Danilo Gallinari had 27 and 15. Really, this was that much of a smashing that Montrezl Harrell only played 21 minutes. He had 20 points in that, and it was 10 of 11 from the line, which is a real change from what he normally does there. Paddy Beverly, probably a drop, just the 3 points in his 25 minutes, while Landry Shamet only hit 1 shot. It was a 3, thankfully, but 1 of 9 is just not going to cut it, and he was never really a 12-team league option. And that'll wrap it up for all of the action across the NBA for whatever day this was that we're looking at. Yeah, Sunday, that's the day. All right, for those of you listening to the podcast, I'm going to go through and do a preview for the remaining 10 days in the NBA Week 25 and 26 on YouTube. That video is already up, so you can go check that out. So I'll go do that. So go and listen to that preview, and then we'll come back and talk about some streaming options for Monday. All right, so looking at Monday, there are 9 games on Monday. So when we're looking to stream, again, as I talked about in that weekly preview section, there are days when it's impossible to stream. There are plenty of them this week. Now, Monday's a real borderline one, so you want to be having a look to see how you match up against your opponent for this coming 10-day final matchup for the season, what stats you need in a Roto League, and looking to stream those guys in and out, making some hard decisions at times. It's not about name value at this point of the year. It's about getting bulk minutes, getting bulk production in. So if we have a look and try and work out who maybe the top 3 or 4 streamers are for each category on these stream type days, like we've got today, I think that's worth looking at. And I'm going to look at guys who are rostered in under 70% of leagues on Yahoo. Now for points, I think we're looking at Jordan Clarkson as a pretty solid option as a stream guy, Emmanuel Mudiay of the New York Knicks, the Fort, Kevin Knox, Dwayne Wade of the Miami Heat, Seth Curry, and Dwight Powell. I think they're probably your top bunch of point streamers. You've got Rashawn Holmes and even Big Walt Lemon of the Chicago Bulls, who's going to be starting an NBA game on Monday. So there is going to be some value in that Bulls lineup, which is going to be an absolute disaster. Hopefully no one is forced to sit through and watch that. If we're looking to stream 3-pointers in for Monday, the Duke Wayne Ellington seems like the most obvious option there. Dion Waiters is going to have a big opportunity with both Justice Winslow and Joshie Richardson out. The Cornetto, Luke Cornett, Seth Curry, Terrence Ross, Jay Crowder in a starting role, Smokin' Joe Harris, Kyle Korver, Damian Dotson. There are a bunch of 3-point stream options which you can use on Monday. If we're looking at some guys who can help you with rebounds for this coming day, Mitchie Robinson is a great value play for the Knicks. He's got 6 games in this final matchup as well, so good value there. Ed Davis, one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Bam Adebayo is an option for you. And if you go for some real low rostered guys, Chris Felicio of the Chicago Bulls, Bill Hernan-Gomez of the Charlotte Hornets, Rashawn Holmes, and Aaron Baines if he happens to play from the Boston Celtics. Tristan Thompson and Dragan Bender, another couple of options who can help you in that rebound category on Monday. We're looking at assist streams. Tyus Jones is available in 67% of Yahoo leagues. DJ Augustin is still around. Fred VanVleet. Now, these are elite type options. They should all be 12-team league players, but they're around. Marcus Smart is another option. Goran Dragic, who is as wildly inconsistent as almost anybody not named Bobby Portis. He's an available option as well. Jalen the Burner Brunson is another guy who could be added there. And then if you go low rostered, Big Shaq Harrison.
Big Shaq.
Jamal Crawford and Kadeem Allen of the New York Knicks with Alonzo Trier just sitting out just so he can just build up that skill to be better than Doncic once again. Let's look at some steals stream options. Big Shaq Harrison's the one that we want there. Josh Okogie, Marcus Smart, a lot of the common names there. McCall Bridges of the Phoenix Suns. Big Walt Lemon, another option as well. DeAnthony Melton, who probably starts and plays 20 minutes. Karis LeVert could be a stream option for the steals category. Tyus Jones, Flaming Mo Harkless, Miles Bridges, and if you want to go deep, Cornette, Carter Williams, and Tabo Cephalosha, they could be some options in your 16 to 20 team leagues. If we're looking at blocks, of course it's Mitchell Robinson, but then Rashawn Holmes becomes an excellent option. Jonah Bolden in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid out. Thon McCare with Blake Griffin out in Detroit. The Cornetto, Luke Cornett, Aaron Baines, Joshie Jackson perhaps in Phoenix, although Josh Jackson has sprained his fingers after high-fiving somebody too hard. Can't make that shit up. Zach Collins, Maxi Kleber, Mo Harkless, a couple of other guys who you could stream in to help you in that blocks category. Now, if you're looking to get a real big leg up in field goal percentage, Mitchie Robinson, of course, Rashawn Holmes, Powell, Bam Bam Adebayo.
Bam, 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 bam.
Robin Lopez, Hassan Whiteside if he's available. Boban, maybe Boban. Chris Felicio, another option in that category. Tristan Thompson, Eddie Davis, Kem Birch, a really low-rostered guy in 30-team leagues, 20-team leagues. They're going to play their regular rotation, the Magic, because they need every win they can get. And then for free throw percentage, DJ Augustin, if you need free throw percentage, you cannot find a better option than him. He's a must-roster guy regardless. 5 games left. You got to look at him. The Chief Al-Farouq Aminu, Freddie VanVleet, Geordie Clarkson, Rocket Rodney Hood, Ryan Archer-Jacquino, Brandon Knight, Tyus Jones, Seth Curry. These are all options. Malik Monk and Terry Ross. So there's a bunch of free throw percentage streamers that are out there that do exist that you can use to help get yourself a big start in those categories that you know you're going to need to either fight to be competitive in or extend your lead in. No point, I'm going to lose rebounds by 400 this week. I better stream in some rebound guys just because I'm going to lose it. No, it's done. That category's finished. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Go into your other categories and strengthen your lead or attack the real balance categories. If you're 400 assists projected ahead of someone, yes, things can go wrong. They can't go 400 assists wrong in general, and that's a really exaggerated figure pretty clearly. But if you're like 80 assists projected higher than somebody else, you go, you know what? Maybe I don't need to look for that. Let's go for the one where it's a difference of 20, where it's a difference of 10, and maybe I can make an impact in those categories, and that's what you're looking to do with streaming. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on the new Himalaya podcast app. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at redrock_Beeble. And when you're in the car, tell your smart device to play the podcast Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Again, congratulations to everybody. Now, if you're in one of the Red Rock Challenge leagues, whether that's Dynasty leagues, redraft leagues, and it's in a cash league, you will get payments. I have got, obviously, a shit ton of leagues to go through and sort out all the winners and the payments. So Don't be surprised if you don't get anything in the next couple of days. Probably the end of the week would be more likely when those payments come out, because again, there's just so many leagues that I've got to go through. Got to wait for verifications and stat corrections, all that sort of bullshit that we know can dick us around. That I actually got dicked out of a finals matchup due to a stat correction. I played the first matchup of the finals, and then the stat correction came in and I got taken out. So I wasn't too happy about that. So that's what we're going to do before we give those cash payments away in those Red Rock Challenge leagues. Guys, don't forget to stick with this podcast. Even if you're not listening, I want you to listen. Still download the show. There's going to be lots of stuff happening throughout the rest of the regular season, the playoffs, the off season, all that stuff. And then, of course, through July, which a lot of you guys have asked for me to give me some sort of information on my trip to America. So I'll see what sort of form that is going to take when I'm over in your United States of America. Well, not the majority of listeners, your United States of America. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Tobias Harris.